friends. Welcome back to Powered by People, the podcast where we spotlight the people behind the businesses, the purpose behind the profits, and the community impact that truly matters. Today's guest is someone who proves that insurance isn't just about policies. It's about people, protection, and showing up when it matters most. With over 25 years of experience working with small businesses, corporations, and families across the country, our guest brings wisdom, heart, and a real-world understanding of risk and resilience. Tim, welcome to Powered by People. We are excited to have you.
Thank you, Annalyn. It's good to be here.
Tim, before we dive into insurance and impact, let's start with you. You've built a career that spans decades in multiple states, California, Alaska, and now Nevada. What first drew you into the insurance world back in the 90s?
It's kind of a funny story. I mean, a lot of people think insurance is it's a necessary evil, right? It's, every year they come out with these surveys of credible jobs, credible careers, and always at the top are, like doctors and teachers and, research scientists and that type of thing. And always at the bottom are used car salesmen, lawyers, and insurance agents. Because people just can't stand insurance. And I fell into insurance like a lot of people did. I didn't go to school for insurance. I was finishing my undergraduate degree at University of California, and I was laid off from my job. And I had a friend who had an insurance agency in Orange County, and I needed to make rent. So I went over there, and he hired me. Very fortunately. Turns out he was a Lloyd's of London correspondent. I had no idea what a Lloyd's of London correspondent was, but it turns out that Lloyd's of London is the oldest insurance company in the world. It was started in the 18th century by a bunch of rich families in London. And what they do, even today, is that they insure things that other people can't insure. So very risky stuff. They started their insurance company by insuring cargo going on ships from Europe to America in the 18th century.
Because of the trades, right? It's like
right. It was just too difficult with pirates and whatever. And then they moved on to fleets of aircraft that people didn't want to insure because it was too difficult. And so my job as an insurance guy, I was 20 years old, but the gentleman I worked for was Chinese and didn't speak great English. So he wanted me to be there to kind of help be the face of the agency, right? And my job was to figure out what to do with his Lloyd's of London license. He just had it. He didn't do anything with it. And true story. Twice in 1 week, we got contacted by tattoo parlors in California. This was Orange County. And twice we could not get them insurance because everybody was afraid of tuberculosis, was afraid of dirty needles. And so I went to my boss and I said, look, I think I found out what we should do with the Lloyd's of London license. We should create a program to do liability insurance for tattoo parlors. And here I am, I'm 20 years old, and in the next week, we fly to London. He wanted me to go because, again, he didn't speak the language very well. And I got to sit down with all these old guys at Lloyd's, or all these rich old guys, and we're right in the heart of London. And I pitch it to him. I just say, look, there's over 1,100 tattoos. Now, imagine this was 1993, so not everybody had a tattoo in 1993. It was still relatively foreign to a lot of people.
Right.
So we went to London and we sat down with these guys, and I said, look, there's 1,100 tattoo parlors in California, and none of them can get insurance. So my idea is to create a program that you guys would back for us, that we would create a liability program for tattoo parlors. And within 20 minutes, we got a $10 million line slip, meaning they would back up to $10 million in premium for any claims related to tattoo parlors. And we went back to California with our line slip, and we learned how to issue an insurance policy. And in 18 months, we wrote 800 tattoo parlors in
That's
California.
amazing.
And we ended
Wow.
up selling the program, and my boss became the majority owner of an insurance company based in San Diego. So it was a heck of an experience to learn, and it really gave me kind of the passion to learn the industry, and found out how many people struggle with getting insurance. So that's kind of how I got started and everything, and that was 23 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know that you can even create like your own program or insurance to provide niche type businesses. That's pretty amazing, and to be able to be flexible in that way and be able to create something just, out of the blue based on the pain points that you notice. That's a very that's actually pretty creative.
Yeah, most of my career has been in niche type of fields. So when I left California in 2010 and had an opportunity to go to Alaska, I headed up an insurance agency that did nothing but oil and gas insurance. So I had to learn a whole new industry about oil exploration and how to manage assets up on the north slope of Alaska. So that would be 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle. And these oil companies would be working 24/7, even in the dead of winter. And so the north part of Alaska in the winter is especially harsh. If you've ever seen those Alaska TV programs about survival and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it's a true thing. I mean, these guys are working in minus 45-degree temperatures, 40-mile-an-hour wind, and they are working 12 and 14-hour shifts, pulling oil out of the ground.
Crazy.
And it was a steep learning curve to learn all that stuff, and we did it right through. Unfortunately, COVID killed it, like everything else, right? So
It's like a reset button.
yeah. Biden became president in January of 2020, and his first executive order was to eliminate all oil exploration in Alaska. His very first executive order, which basically put all of my customers out of business. And
That's horrible.
I had 60 employees, and within 30 days, we laid off all but 10 staff. And then March happened, right? 2020, March happened. And they didn't need me anymore. There was just no opportunity up there, and we just happened to have a home here in Las Vegas as a vacation home, and we said, let's give Las Vegas a try. And I'm a big believer of what you put out in the universe comes back to you. And the day that we made the decision to come to Las Vegas, true story, the day we made that decision, I got a call from State Farm, and State Farm said, hey, I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you're looking for a new opportunity, and we've got a agent who has passed away, and would you please come and take a look and see if you would take over that book of business? So we opened our doors June of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. The strip was still closed down. You couldn't get into the casinos, and here I am in a brand new city I've never lived in before, and I'm trying to get my business started.
Nice. And I love that your journey includes such different environments. So how did those moves shape the way you approach leadership, relationships, and service today?
We've always looked at life as an adventure. And I think what it's taught me is humility more than anything. And so I think a lot of people have worked for employers that they kind of regret, that the employers didn't treat them very well or work them too hard or whatever. And I approach my employees, my staff, as how I would like to be treated. And so, with that comes, a respect for what they have to do for their families, and a respect for the holidays that are observed, because not everybody has the same beliefs, not everybody has the same desires. And
Sure.
I think that if you've got a group of people who are motivated to do well, then you're going to work half as hard.
Of course, of course. And you've worked with everyone from large corporations to small family-owned businesses. What do you think most people misunderstand about insurance, especially business owners?
Insurance companies have done it to themselves. Just bluntly, insurance companies have created a race to the bottom. And what I mean by that is anytime that you see an insurance ad, it's always about saving $500. Get on the phone for 10 minutes and save $500. It's always, we're the cheapest, we're the cheapest, we're the cheapest. And so what we've done, our own industry has conditioned consumers to think that way, to think that it's not important about the coverage or the service. It's all about if I could save $500. And unfortunately, what happens a lot in our industry, a lot in the legal industry now with AI and, people going on the internet and creating their own legal forms and thinking it's going to hold up in court because AI says it's going to hold up in court. A lot of the times folks don't realize they don't have the coverage they need until they have that accident or until they have a fire at their house. And it's not the time to learn, but unfortunately, I think in my own humble opinion, the insurance company has done it to themselves as creating this race to the bottom.
Sure. And insurance is one of those things people don't think about until they really need it, like you said. And by then, it's like too late to wing it, right? So can you share an example where having the right coverage made a real difference for a client?
I have not in this current form in my current agency, but formerly I insured the family of a large oil producer in Alaska. And believe it or not, they were, super, they were very successful. They made a lot of money, but yet they had minimum limits of insurance. And it wasn't that they were trying to save money. It was that nobody ever educated them on the need to, they had 4 or 5 houses, they had 4 or 5 cars, they had a lot of stuff. And they had 2 kids, 18 and 17, that were out there driving with minimum limits of insurance. And fortunately, very fortunately, I was able to sit down with them and go over with them the need to protect their families, the need to have adequate limits of insurance so that they can avoid major catastrophe. If there was an accident with one of their kids, it's totally legal for lawyers to tap into the equity of your home if you don't have adequate limits of insurance. And so we were able to fix all that, change all that, and not 2 months later, the wife got into a car accident. Very fortunately, she was not seriously injured. She hurt her back a little bit, but it was her fault. She hit another family, and their 2 kids in the car got hurt. And immediately, that family went to a lawyer, and it became like a $250,000 claim that they would not have had coverage for had we not reviewed it.
Yeah.
So it was a real game changer, and very fortunately, they told everybody who would listen at the oil company that everybody needed to review their limits. So it was a good time for me I had a line of people lining up to say, hey, you know what you did for those folks, I want you to do it for me too.
Yeah, and that's really important because a lot of people don't see insurance as an asset. They see it as, oh, I'm paying this every month. Where's it going? Well, it's really preventing circumstances or, situations like those, right? To be able to cover you from those types of problems. So one thing I deeply respect about you is your service beyond businesses. You sit on the board of directors from the Armed Services of YMCA, supporting military families. Why is that mission so important to you?
So I had a branch of my agency was directly on Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage. And there's 30,000 enlisted at that base, and it's the head of the Arctic Command. It also has the Air Force's fleet of F-22s and F-35s, and they have an important job. They patrol the international line, right, between us and Russia, and it's a very dangerous job. On base, most people don't know that the enlisted members of the military are obviously able to eat on base, but their families are not. And most people don't know that. And we've got, 18, 19-year-old kids. I call them kids. They're serving our country, and a lot of them are married already. A lot of them even have kids of their own already. And so they're all living on base, and believe it or not, there's a food scarcity. And we have a food pantry that's mostly stocked by Safeway. And Safeway donates food to us every Wednesday and Saturday. And we have a standing policy that if you need food, we don't require any type of explanation. You take whatever you want, and you just use what you take. And it's disheartening a little bit, because every Wednesday and Saturday the food pantry is completely cleaned out. And so that gave me motivation, after I learned all that, to serve on the board of the Armed Services YMCA. We've got 11 installations in different bases across the country. I'm trying right now to get a Armed Services YMCA here at Nellis. We don't have one right now, but they provide services to the families of the service members, and it's a big passion of mine.
Sure. And that's wonderful, and that's powerful, because military families often carry invisible burdens, and having organizations that truly understand their challenges makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's something a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, and I know, because I joined the military when I was 19, 20 years old, so I know what it is. Although I was single at the time, when I was stationed in San Diego, I didn't have family around me. My family was all the way in the East Coast.
Right.
So during Thanksgiving, I wasn't able to fly out. My family wasn't able to come see me. And they had a program where it's called Adopt a Sailor. So what they do is the family would adopt sailors from our base to bring them for Thanksgiving dinner in their homes. And I thought that was an amazing program to have, because we do have service members that don't have family near us, and we still want to have that traditional Thanksgiving, family dinner. And we got to meet some of the families that lived on base, which was wonderful.
Yeah, we have the YMCA has a similar program where enlisted folks, if they've got a family emergency, and something's going on with their family, and a lot of the folks are from the southern states, believe it or not. We've got a lot of folks in Alaska, from Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and if they've got a family emergency, we have a fund that they can apply to get a free flight. And so we have a partnership with Alaska Airlines, because obviously Alaska Airlines basically owns Alaska when it comes to flights to Alaska.
Okay.
And they're a very, very good partner of ours, and we are able to send 8 or 10 enlisted folks home each year for various medical or emergency issues, and when they wouldn't normally make it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I hear that you're also passionate about the arts and supporting schools and kids and making art come alive, which I love, because creativity builds confidence and communication and problem solving too. So what sparked that passion, and why do you think arts education is still so important today?
I think art is essential for us, no matter what you consider to be art. Could be painting, could be music, sculpting. It doesn't matter. Life is boring without art. It's just, that's my opinion. And I think a lot of times in business, too few business owners combine the passion for business and the passion for art. And so I feel that, I've got 4 local artists that I sell their works in my office, and they're not expensive. We have original canvases for $40, $50. But the point is that you want to surround yourself with art, because I think it helps keep your creativity going. It helps keep your mind going, and it helps you think differently. And so when you look at art is up to interpretation, and it's not supposed to be linear. It's not supposed to be 2 + 2. It's supposed to make you think. And so I love surrounding myself with art, and a lot of the times the artists are customers of mine that just happen to be, they let me know, say, oh yeah, in my spare time I do some painting, or I do one of my customers writes novels, and she is a published novelist. And so it's that type of thing that I encourage both myself and our team to really enjoy the passion for the arts.
Yeah, and I think it really helps you think outside of the box when it comes to situation. It trains your mind a little bit to be, to have those critical thinking skills, because like you said, everything's up to interpretation. And how
in our job and in working in a professional environment, it does get a little dry. It does get, I use the word linear a lot. There's a lot of thinking from A to B, and the art really helps look around the corner sometimes and say, well, maybe you're not looking at a solution that we should be looking at. And a lot of the times insurance is in that gray area, because insurance companies do their best to spell out every possible scenario on an insurance policy, but you could never define every type of accident. And so there's a lot of interpretation in insurance. And I think me as an agent, one of the most important functions I serve is, because people say, look, why do I hire Tim? Why do I hire an agent? You got to pay him commission. You got to, it's got to be making it more expensive. I'm just going to call an 800 number based in Manila, and I'll get my insurance taken care of, right? Well, yeah, obviously. And a lot of industries have that type of competition, right? But I think one of the most important things I've taught my team is we are advocates for our customers.
Yes.
And so in the event of a claim, in the event of a loss, I can explain to the claims team the how and why and when of a claim that may help the interpretation of the coverage. And I'm not saying it's going to guarantee to cover the claim, but at least you would have an advocate on your side to say, well, wait a minute, before you say no, this isn't covered for whatever reason, you got to hear it from this perspective. And this is what was going on at the time. And this is why I think it should be covered. And at least at my company, the claims people listen to us as agents, because we are the eyes and ears on the ground. And they're not, they could be 2,000 miles away, and they're trying to do their best to interpret policy language. And so our job is to be that advocate. And we do have examples of types of claims where we got involved and it was covered when it may not have been.
Yeah, and you find those types of things, especially since you've been in it for so long, you know what to look for. So looking back over 25 plus years in insurance and leadership, what's one lesson you wish every business owner understood sooner?
I wish every insurance policy was reviewed. I wish that some business owners, not all, but some business owners, they consider their key team around them key advisors, their lawyers, their accountant, their CPA, right? These are very, very important people to a business owner, their banker, right?
Exactly.
Too few of business owners consider their insurance professional as part of that advocacy team. And so I think if there was one thing I would wish is that we as insurance folks would be invited to the table more often to interact with the CPA, with the lawyers, with the bankers, and make decisions for the business owner that would be more informed.
And that's really interesting that you brought that up as advisors, because it's been such a long time, like even back in emperors and kings, they always had their advisors next to them, right? To help him with making decisions on certain things, whether it's for going to war, whether it's for, the treasury, whatever, right? So we have that in business. We have that whole hierarchy. It's like having board members. And that's really gold right there that you mentioned that, because if more people led with that mindset, business, and life even, they would feel a lot less reactive and a lot more intentional in what they do. Especially,
and it's not even just business owners. I totally encourage mom and dad to sit down and kind of like that example I brought up of them being very well to do but not well insured. And it wasn't because of trying to save money. It was just the lack of education on it. And we as parents, we as family members, if we took the time to sit down and look at what we have. So one of the things we do in our agency is I reach out to 1/12 of all of my customers every month. So 1/12 of my customers get a call from our agency asking to review their insurance. The reason we do that is within 12 months, we hit everybody. So at least once a year, everybody gets a call to say, what's going on with your family? Are there any changes we need to be aware of? Did somebody get married? Did somebody get divorced? Did somebody pass away? What do we need to do to make sure that the insurance works harder for you? And that makes all the difference.
So true. Yeah. And things evolve, things change, regulations change. I mean, even when I'm building websites and stuff, privacy policies and terms and conditions, they're going to change over the years. With AI coming in, like with technology and data and like changing risks and all these things, it's exciting, but sometimes it can be pretty overwhelming too. And what I feel is that progress doesn't replace relationships, right? So even if you do have AI and technology and data that does a lot of the stuff for you, you still need people.
I love,
especially in this.
Yeah, I love, we use AI pretty extensively, and AI, people are saying, oh my goodness, AI is going to take over. AI is going to take over. The fact is,
just a tool.
AI helps with predictive analysis. And so AI has been able to completely change our underwriting models, that we have switched away from being overly dependent on prior claims and prior loss history and prior tickets and accidents. And now we will go into more of a predictive analysis, because that predictive analysis allows us to write the insurance for people that we may have said no to before. But it's not going to replace the relationship. It's going to enhance our relationship.
That's true. Yes. And I think it's really important to think about that, because you have a lot of people that are afraid of AI. Oh, AI is going to replace jobs. Nope. Actually, it might even create more jobs. From what I hear, it may create more electricians. We might need more electricians to manage some of the servers and all the power that it's going to take to power these AI setups. So, but awesome. Well, okay. So this last section of this, before we connect and close, is I would like to ask you, what is your favorite restaurant in Las Vegas? Because this is where we kind of ask, like, what are some of the best spots that you think that you like to hang out?
I have. Geez, that's a good one. Um, I love Mexican food. So if you've ever been over to Lindo, Michoacan, in Henderson, up on the hill, it's phenomenal Mexican food. But we were also introduced to Carbone, which is inside the Aria Hotel,
Okay.
and they have the only time I've ever had veal parmesan on the bone, and it's a crazy beautiful restaurant, and I highly encourage going over there.
That's amazing. And how about attraction, like entertainment wise? What is your favorite go-to for entertainment?
I love live music, and any given weekend, I am at a live show. I particularly have a affinity for rock, heavy rock.
Sure.
But I'll see Lady Gaga at the Park MGM. I will see Bruno Mars. I am just a huge fan of live music.
And sports as well?
Sports as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the A's coming to town. This is Vegas has really become a sports mecca. And the NFL said that they had never made more revenue ever at a Super Bowl than when they went to Las Vegas, which is why they've already re-upped for Las Vegas in 2029.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And
Yeah, we just had it 2 years ago.
right. And that's amazing because I think I went to a baseball game in Summerlin because they had that baseball field out there.
Yes, the Aviators. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It was actually pretty nice. I actually
That's really
enjoyed
nice.
it. It was really interesting.
And they get a great crowd. They get it holds about 6,000 people out there, and they're near capacity almost every night, even if it's 100 degrees in July.
Yeah. That's so true. I think I went in June or something like that. But
Just stick to the night games.
yeah, night games are good for summertime, even though it still gets pretty warm. So Tim, this has been such a great conversation. If our listeners want to connect with you or learn more, or simply have a smart conversation about, I don't know, protecting what matters, where can they find you?
So our offices are here in Las Vegas. We are at the corner of Windmill and Eastern, just south of the airport. 702-998-4545 is our office phone, and it's insurance quote -nv, like Nevada.com is our web link.
Great, that's perfect. And everyone connect with Tim by viewing his links in the comments below. Thank you for the work that you do, Tim, the community you serve, and the heart you bring to everything. And personally, thank you to our listeners for tuning in on another episode of Powered by People. Until next time, support local, lead with purpose, and remember, strong communities are built by people who care. Hit the like and subscribe button on my channel, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao!